A bereaved husband is suing West Midlands ambulance service for not carrying out a basic check which might have saved his wife's life. 63-year-old Lynda Gower from Redditch died after suffering a ruptured bowel. Her husband Ray Gower called an ambulance, but paramedics didn't use a tool designed to measure a patient's clinical condition, and she wasn't admitted to hospital. At her inquest, a coroner said Mrs Gower had died from natural causes. The ambulance service has apologised. Our health correspondent Michele Paduano has this exclusive report.
Ray Gower has withdrawn into his model building since his wife died. He's also been painstakingly trying to piece together how the coroner, Mr Garrett Williams, reached the conclusion he did at her inquest.
He actually conducted the inquest itself quite well. And when we got towards the end, I thought, well, he's picked up on everything that's gone on. There won't be a problem here. So then to get the summing up that he gave was a big shock.
Lynda Gower had started feeling ill on Christmas Day in 2017, and by the 28th she'd been vomiting for 3 days. Her GP told her to dial 999. She
was in a lot of pain. Trying to get any words out of her was difficult. She could hardly move at all.
The inquest heard the ambulance arrived within 3 minutes, and paramedic Jake Cluley explained how he gave fluids and pain relief, but failed to calculate NEWS, the National Early Warning Scores, from her observations, which would have suggested taking her to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Instead, the discharge plan was to seek medication for constipation and vomiting, and to call 999 if she got worse. Mrs Gower had a twisted bowel, which later ruptured. A surgeon, Mr Benjamin Tan, told the court that if she'd been operated on before it had burst, it was more likely than not that she would have lived. But summing up, the coroner, Mr Garrett Williams, said that there could be no criticism of the paramedics, that this was a tragedy that was going to happen, and death was due to natural causes. Following the inquest, Mr Gower sought legal advice. His lawyer now has reports from 3 expert witnesses. They too indicate that she should have been taken to hospital, and if operated on before her bowel perforated, she would have lived.
Those failings are failings in basic care. The NEWS assessment tool is there to identify patients who are at risk, and then to use that assessment tool, which is a simple tool to use, to admit those patients to hospital. So it is concerning that the evidence does not correspond with the summing up at all.
The new senior coroner for Worcestershire, David Reed, said in a statement, "I have no power to reopen an inquest or to reconsider the evidence heard or the conclusions reached. In those circumstances, it would not be right for me or for the coroner who heard the inquest to enter into any correspondence."
People can look fine on the outside, but on the inside they were a mess. And I'm struggling, but I'm keeping going. Trying to get some sort of, I don't know, closure on this.
Mr Gower has lost his wife, his job and the future he was hoping for. He's suing the ambulance service. Michele Paduano, BBC News Today.